Hello everybody, Peggy here, back with another video. Today's topic is Etsy shut me down and I don't know why. So we're going to talk about why. So, number one, most people who lose their shops they know why. Most people who lose their shops know why. Etsy hasn't told them why, so they're like, well, I don't know why because they wouldn't tell me. It's like Etsy will not tell. Once Etsy makes a decision to terminate a shop, two things happen. They won't tell you why because it's to avoid litigation. Etsy is based in the state of New York, which basically has a law that says that you have the right to decline business with anybody for any reason or no reason at all. So Americans love to sue each other. And the minute you give an American the reason why you're declining their business, they have a reason to take you to court. It's that simple. Etsy is a huge company, 7.5 million sellers. I'm sure that there's probably a couple thousand people a day that lose their accounts. You can't have 7.5 million people selling on Etsy and have every one of them be an ethical, upstanding person. They are a minority, but I'm just getting comfortable here. They are in the minority, but as with all things in life, 95% of the problems are caused by less than 5% of the people. So one thing that we see on social media and all the places and all the things is people freaking out. Etsy shut me down, don't know why. And then everybody else gets all freaked out. Oh my God, Etsy's an evil corporation that just loves to punish their sellers. People freak out. People freak out. And we hear a lot of crap that just isn't true. We hear a lot of crap that people swear up and down is true, and it's not true. We're going to go over that. So number one reason why they will not tell you why is to avoid litigation. It's that simple. Second thing that happens, if you lose a shop, they ban you at the IP, which means every other shop. This happens to people that say you've got 3 roommates and you're all running Etsy shops and one of them gets shut down, everybody running off that internet connection loses their shops. And Etsy will not listen to you or believe you when you say, oh, no, we're all separate people. I mean, you signed up online. You didn't have to go to talk to anybody. You may eventually be able to get your shop back depending on the circumstances, but for the most part, they're going to be, well, if one shop was shut down, chances are the other shops are integrated with that person in some way. I've got 2 shops. If I do something and lose one, I'm losing them both. People don't know that when they go into Etsy, so they open a shop, everything's fine, and then they have this shop that they just fuck around with and just whatever, or they do really, there's mistakes that can be made. And then Etsy shuts that shop down, and because they're both coming from the same IP address, they shut them both down. So that's the second thing that can happen. So if you have more than one shop, keep in mind that losing one shop costs you all of them. If you and your spouse each have a shop, your spouse losing their shop costs you your shop. I've actually seen that, where 2 sisters, each one had they were all over the social medias trying to figure this out. One sister screwed up her shop, not intentionally, I forget the whole story, but one sister, it was two sisters, one screwed up and decided, to hell with this, fuck this shit, I don't care. Lost her shop. The sister also lost her shop because they were operating in the same house with the same last name. Etsy's like, we don't know. You're in the same house. You're in the same house with the same last name. We're not interested in talking to you at all, because obviously you're connected to each other in some way. So therefore, we have no reason to believe that the shops aren't also connected in some way. Keep that in mind. So that is number 2. That is the number 2 thing. They're not going to tell you because they really don't want to argue the nitty gritty of. They don't want to argue about why they're shutting down both, all 3, all 4, all 5. Anyway, keep that in mind. So if you have multiple shops, each shop has to be compliant with Etsy's guidelines, Etsy's rules, whatever. So why are shops getting closed? This goes back to the sisters. Not to the sisters, but situations where why you can we've seen multiple people coming into the social media groups. I got shut down because the other person in my house was selling trademarked and copyrighted goods. It's like, well, they're not going to trust that you're not. Anyway, okay. So number 1 reason is copyright infringement or trademark violations. Trademark. Okay, Disney. The Disney logo is trademark. The Disney characters are copyright. trademark and copyright are, Etsy's not screwing around with that. There's a saying, Etsy will not go to court with you, for you, or because of you. Etsy can't let you keep you. Etsy cannot let these shops stay. There's all kinds of rules and guidelines about how and why these shops get taken down. The copyright holder has to bring it to Etsy's attention. So if Etsy is shutting you down, if you've decided, everybody, I see a bunch of shops getting away with copyright violations. I'm going to open a shop doing the exact same thing, and you get shut down. It's not because Etsy is shutting you down. It's because the copyright holder, the person or company whose work you are copying, has made a complaint about you. Once it reaches that stage, Etsy will sometimes allow a certain number of copyright violations to happen before they take action, because they are aware that mistakes happen. But whatever their rules are behind the scenes, I don't know. I'm not pretending that I know the rules behind the scenes. I'm saying that the way that it works as a trademark or a copyright violation, the trademark or copyright holder is the one that has to make the complaint. So if you get your shop shut down because you're selling Disney stuff, it's because you're on Disney's radar and they have contacted Etsy saying this person is using our copyrighted material. End of story. Why Disney is not making a complaint against the other guy, nobody knows. Not your problem. If you got a problem with that, contact Disney. Contact NBA, NFL, Disney, Marvel franchise, Hello Kitty. They are aggressive in protecting their copyrights. If you've got anything that even looks like it's part of the Hello Kitty world, you're going to lose your business. It's just a matter of when. They don't screw around. Anyway, the rules on how that's applied, I haven't got a fucking clue. But I do know that if you're doing it, and like I said, if you get one thing taken down, it depends on what's getting taken down too. If your entire shop is based on something that you've helped yourself to that doesn't belong to you, and this can be logos, this can be not descriptions, but like okay, tricks are for kids. That's a trademark statement. You cannot sell your product using that. If you have a particular design that you've created, then you can protect that under copyright. So you may not be able to protect the materials, but if you've come up with a unique special design that you have created yourself, you can protect it. Apple, as a matter of fact, they trademarked a particular curve used on their phones. Like they trademark and copyright everything. Anyway, some companies do not care. Starbucks, that could have changed. Don't quote me on this. Starbucks doesn't care if you advertise, if you use them, because all that's doing is reminding people that Starbucks, go get a coffee, go get a coffee, go get a coffee. But anyway, I'm going in a big circle here. Thing is, what happens behind the scenes? I don't know. How many complaints does it take? I don't know. Does Etsy have multi-tiered support so that Disney can go, you just need to delete these things, and this guy, we're watching him and we're going to sue him we're going to wait for another year and then sue him when he's worth suing, because I'll tell you right now, Disney takes people to court. Disney takes people to court and people lose everything. So, number one, that is number one. And the number one reason why it happens is because people get on social media, how can I legally sell this? Well, you can't. And any stranger online that's telling you that you can is full of shit. They might, I've been doing this for 5 years. It's like, it's been 5 years and you haven't been caught yet, or you're on Disney's watch list and they haven't decided to pull the trigger on suing you yet, but you're not doing it legally. So never believe anybody online who is telling you that your unique hand, I drew it by hand, therefore it's mine. That's another misconception that people believe in. If I redo it myself and if I redo it myself and only use 10% of the original image or character or whatever, I can do it legally. And it's like, no, you can't. You can still be sued. And the minute things start looking like they might be a court issue, Etsy's done with you. Done with you. Anyway, copyright and trademark infringement. It's a big one. It's such a big one that I'm just kind of like, doop, doop. I'm kind of like doing little hits and run bits of information. Number one trick to avoid getting into trouble where that is concerned is don't listen to fucking strangers on the internet telling you that, here's how you can loophole your way into doing this. Because Etsy will not go to court with you, for you, or because of you. So if Disney, NBA, NFL, John Deere does not like you copying their shit. They will protect, they protect their copyright. It will not stop these companies from, it will, if Etsy even gets the hint that these guys might be at a stage of activity that they're thinking of suing you, you're gone. And Etsy has the right to do that, and they don't have to tell you about it. They don't have to tell you why. You just go to log into your shop one day and it's gone. And that is the number one, I don't know why, because, well, I was doing it all legally. It's like, no, you weren't. Legal, as in, I'm not going to jail for that, and legal, as in, I'm not going to court for that, are two different things. Etsy's not. Don't forget, in order for John Deere to sue you, John Deere has to subpoena Etsy for all of your background information for your financials. That's legal. That's court. They're not interested. They're not interested. They're not doing it. They're not going to do it for you. It's their sandbox. It's their rules. Okay. That's the big one. That is the big one. And the sheer number of people who think that they have found the magical loophole that makes this something that they can get away with is astounding. Etsy can decide that if you do not put a red dot on the top, I did this on Lisa's channel, okay? My wife's channel. It's like, Etsy can do what they want. So Etsy can decide that every single seller has to have a red dot photoshopped into the top right-hand corner of every single photo they put in their listings. And if you don't do it, they can get rid of you. As long as they're not discriminating, saying that, oh, we're going to get rid of, disabled people, people of color, people over a certain age, people of certain affiliations. As long as they're not doing that, as long as they are not overtly discriminating against anybody, then their sandbox rules apply. And just like my house is my sandbox, if my rule is take your shoes off and you don't, you're not coming back, right? Okay, maybe I'm not going to be that strict. It depends on the person. But anyway, house rules apply. And if you cannot follow Etsy's house rules, Etsy will not do business with you. It's that simple. Okay, next. That's the big one. Okay, next is if your account is in arrears. Now, when you make a sale on Etsy, Etsy takes out their fees and then gives you the rest of the money. That part's fine. We're all good. What also happens though is that you can do ads. I do ads at $1 a day. So every month I have a bill for $30 that shows up, right? That's fine. But if I have my bill for $30 that shows up and I don't have enough sales to cover that. So if I've got like $100 in sales this week and my $30 ad bill comes up, then I'm going to get $70 that week because that's just going to take that out from any. Etsy takes their fees out of any money that they owe you. But if you are paying for something that's ongoing but not making enough money to pay for it, so if you're doing $1 a day on ads but you only make $5 a month, obviously get out your credit card, pay them the $25. If you don't do that, they're going to shut down your account. Let's get back to multiple accounts. If you have multiple accounts and you're letting one sit dormant, but you have forgot to turn off your premium fee, your ad fees, what else might come up? I think those are the only two big ones. They're going to build up, and Etsy's going to see an account that's in arrears. They're going to shut it down. Now, account in arrears, sometimes they may only deal with that one account, and sometimes they may take out all your accounts. I've heard different stories on that. Don't know what the rules are behind the scenes that make them make those decisions, but I do know that if you owe money on your account and are not making arrangements to pay it, they will come in and just close your account because they're not going to let you get in debt. They're not going to let you get indebted to them. That's ridiculous, right? Okay, so that's not as obvious to some people because, like I said, when you make a sale, they take their money from the sale. But if you have other ongoing fees with them because you've opted into premium services like ads and the premium account, then you can find yourself falling behind. Okay, so that happens. Now, where that's going to trigger is especially, you have to keep a credit card on file with Etsy. So where that's going to trigger especially is if your credit card expires or something and they try to bill you and it kicks back and they're going to go, oh, you're no longer in business. Anyway. So if your account gets in arrears and they don't just come after you 4 minutes, this build, you don't have any money, we're shutting your account. They let these go for 3 or 4 months before they do anything. In most cases, if you've got $50 a day in advertising and you're building up to $5,000 in debt in 6 weeks, say goodbye. Anyway, your item is not handmade, a supply, or vintage. People come onto Etsy all the time trying to sell stuff that does not meet Etsy's guidelines. Now we're going to go through other guidelines right now, but we're going to stick with not handmade, a supply, or vintage. You cannot just run out, and I've watched people do it, you cannot just run out to IKEA, go buy one of their tables, bring it home, sell it online. You didn't make it. You have nothing to do with its process. It's not a supply. So supplies is a very, very, very broad category. You can sell screwdrivers on Etsy, believe it or not. It's a supply. It's something you need in order to make something else. So you can do that. People don't usually get hit with the supplies thing. It's not vintage. Now, if you're constantly advertising it, if you have a vintage shop, but you're constantly advertising, oh, brand new, still in box, and it's just, you're just buying something and reselling it from your local store. You go to Walmart, you buy, I don't know, you go to Walmart, you buy a DVD, you bring it home and you're trying to sell it. That's not vintage. Vintage has to be at least 20 years old. There's a lot of people that get onto Etsy trying to treat it like a big garage sale, and they get really confused really fast on what they can and can't sell. There are other sites where you can buy, Facebook Marketplace. You can go out to the store, buy a DVD, bring it home, and try and sell it online. There's no rules against that. Etsy has the house rules that your item must be handmade, a supply, or a vintage item. There's plenty of wiggle room. There really is plenty of wiggle room, but when it really doesn't fit, they just shut down your shop. It's that simple. It's your job to do that. They will tell you it has to be handmade, a supply, or vintage. It's up to you to do your homework and be clear on what that is. Okay, items that are prohibited. I'm going to name 3 items, and one of these is not like the other. Okay, weapons. That's a no-brainer. Baby teethers. That's a little odd. Animal parts. Okay, back to no-brainer again. There are certain items that Etsy just does not allow to be sold online. Weapons. They're prohibited by federal law. Etsy is not going to allow you to sell guns, gun replicas. You can sell a vintage sword that you found. You can sell a decorative sword. You cannot. You can sell. There's all kinds of things that you can sell. You can sell a cooking knife. You cannot sell a hunting knife. It's a weapon. So there's all kinds of things on that. Baby teethers. Well, there's recently been some legislation. There's recently been some new legislation because there was an unfortunate incident where somebody sold. There's these baby teethers that are like necklaces with beads, and unfortunately, the worst happened. So Etsy has updated their policy to say they will no longer allow them to be sold because the process. Because basically, you have to go. There's a complete process you have to go to be safety tested. And they're like, you know what? Even if these things are safety tested, we don't want these products in our marketplace. You cannot sell. You can sell a solid teether, but you cannot sell those beads, those bead necklaces. You can't sell those baby teethers anymore. It's prohibited. If you put one up, you're going to get your shop shut down. Are they catching everybody right away? There's people that have them up, because the bots have to go through 7.5 million accounts. There are people that have them up, but they're taking a huge risk. Because the minute Etsy finds them, they might just delete the item, or they could just delete the entire shop, depending on what the shop's status is otherwise. Weapons, again, being obvious. Drug paraphernalia. Drug paraphernalia is huge because pot is now legally legal. I said it that way twice. Oh my God. Okay, pot is now legal almost everywhere you go in Canada and the United States, but it's not legal federally, and it's not legal to ship it across international borders. So, you want to sell a bong on Etsy, you're going to have a problem. There are things that you can do, and I'm not sure what those things are, but you have to be really careful. Some people believe. Okay. Everybody that's doing this and getting away with it believes that they have found some magical loophole, but the reality is that it's quite simple that they just may not have been caught yet. They may, if they ever get caught, they could lose everything in one single step, and I'm going to get to that. Okay. So prohibited items, and it's on you to go through the Etsy handbook and be clear with yourself on what is prohibited. Animal parts are prohibited because they don't want somebody recently had their shop shut down because they were selling horsehair products. It was like, well, where are you, Etsy has no way to know where you are sourcing your horsehair or whether animals have been harmed in the process of sourcing it, so they will not allow you to sell it. There's no way around it, right? So that's some of the top ones. Okay, one strike and you're out. Redirecting buyers to other platforms or websites. This is a tricky one. If somebody comes to me and says, I would like a wholesale order of 150 bags. It's like, sure, I don't offer that on Etsy, so here's my information, we'll discuss it, I'll sell it to you privately off of Etsy. You're allowed to do that. If you have a product that you do not offer on Etsy, or like I said, if you do not offer your wholesale pricing through Etsy, that's perfectly fine. If somebody says to me, Peggy, I would like to buy a bag, and I would say, well, I will sell it to you privately because that way we can avoid the fees. Are we getting fee avoidance? Fee avoidance, Etsy is in business to make money. That's their business. Their entire profit margin is based on what they can get from us in our fees, right? As a buyer, you don't pay. As a buyer, you're buying your product. As a seller, I have fees taken out. That's where Etsy's profits come from. If I'm engaging in activities to intentionally drive traffic away from Etsy in order to save on fees, well, they don't care if it's in order to save on fees or not. If they, go to my website. I have a better price. I can give you a better deal if you go to my website. Say goodbye to your account the minute they find out. The minute they find out that you're driving sales off of the platform. Now, if somebody says to you, I'm local. I'm a local person, and I really hate. I'm a local person. I'd like to buy this for you and arrange an in-person pickup, but I also want to pay you cash because I just don't have a credit card that's valid right now, and I can't get my sales through Etsy. I can't buy through Etsy at the moment because it's like, okay, I can do that. You have to be really careful when you're communicating with a customer. You have to be very, very careful to be sure, not be sure. There are people who all the time, every time I get a sale, I send my customer a message and tell them that they can get a better deal if they go to my website. The minute Etsy finds out that you're doing that, you lose your business and you lose it forever. So this is huge. And how do you get caught? You get caught by being too cocky about it. People literally put it right in their business, right on their ads. If you want to save money, buy it through my website, www. Well, the minute Etsy sees it, they're just done with you. They're done with you. And I'm going to get to something else later. I'm going to hold that in my pocket. But anyway, redirecting buyers, fee avoidance is basically what it is. Anything that you do to intentionally avoid Etsy fees is going to get you terminated. Now, this does not mean that you cannot redirect a sale off of Etsy if it makes sense. If I do some custom work. Well, I can redirect all of my custom work off of Etsy if I want to, because I'm not offering it. I don't offer it as a thing. I don't know how to describe it. You can change your mind. You can change your mind on doing a certain product. Maybe I've decided that I'm no longer going to list my reading cloths through Etsy. That's fine. Hey, Peggy, I'm looking for a reading cloth. Oh, I'm sorry. I no longer sell those through Etsy. Here's my website. You're allowed to do that. Hey, Peggy, I'm looking for a reading cloth. No problem. I can give you a 10% discount if you go to my website. That's going to get me banned. That will get you banned. So you can direct sales off of Etsy, but you cannot do it. You cannot blatantly do it for the purposes of avoiding fees. It's that simple. And if Etsy catches wind of the fact that that's what you're doing, the instant and they might not even wait to confirm it. So if that's the case, and I'll tell you right now, some people are so brand loyal to Etsy that if you do it, they will report you. Hey, I just contacted this seller about a product, and they told me to go to their website and save the Etsy fees. We've met people who are brand loyal. We all know people who are super loyal to their brands. This is important to know. One of the best ways that people end up getting caught is because a customer makes a complaint. And that if a customer makes a complaint or enough customers make a complaint, and I'm not talking about, they've opened a case, which can get you banned, but I'll get into that. Actually, I'll do that right now. What did I just say? I'm having a brain cramp. I'm going to have a drink. If you have too many low reviews, you can lose your account. Now, I'm not talking one low review a year. or anything like that. But if you're relatively new, you've put up your shop and every single review is a 1-star review because just nobody's liking your shit, Etsy's going to shut you down. If you're going to keep putting this stuff out the door, Etsy has because you're selling through photos. So if you're selling because for Etsy, from Etsy's perspective, don't forget, your customer is also ideally buying from how many other shops. So if your customer is unhappy and chooses to stop buying on Etsy because they've had such a bad experience with you, then that's money that everybody else is losing. That's money that Etsy's losing. They're not going to keep sellers around who cannot do well. And they have their own parameters on how that works in the background. I don't know what they are. I'm just saying that if you've got a crap product that people are complaining about that are bringing in 1-star reviews and a ton of open cases, they're not going to keep you around because there's something wrong with your product. And the fact that you've got a ton of bad reviews, the fact that you've got a ton of open cases is kind of proof from their side of things that you're not doing anything to fix the problem. I've seen this happen. It's not my fault they don't like my product. I just need to find, people just need to understand what I'm doing here. And it's like, no, they don't like it. You need to figure something out. Fix your product, change your product, do something different, get somebody in to help you fix what's going on. Do whatever you've got to do. Your product is not popular. It's not doing well. It's upsetting the customers. Etsy will not stand for that. It's just like if you walk into a store and some employee is just being an absolute dick to everybody and people are leaving, that guy's losing his job because he's costing the company business. It's that simple. That's what's going on with you. If that's what's happening, that's how Etsy's going to see it. They're not going to do it on the first offense, but they're not going to do it on the first offense, but they are going to do it. So if you're not doing well in terms of complaints and low reviews, then you can have a problem to look at. And I'll get into that in other videos. There's ways to deal with it. There's ways to minimize your risk. It's fine. It is fine. You will always be able to survive a bad review as long as you respond to it correctly. That's a whole separate thing. But we're talking like nobody's liking your shit. Like if you send out 10 products and 9 of them are returned with bad reviews, and you're still trying, and you haven't put your shop on vacation mode to go back to the drawing board and fix your stuff, say goodbye. But that sounds more scary than it is. It really does. Don't be afraid of that. We'll address that. I will probably address that in a separate video because there's ways to make sure that your first selling experiences are going to be positive. And that is something I'll address later. So this is incredibly important for people who are doing, most of my viewers right now, I'm hoping that this video actually takes off. So currently a big portion of people watching my videos right now are people who are active in the tarot community. So let me just talk about this using tarot as the example for anybody who's thinking about going online for a tarot business. Now, you must have a tangible item, okay? If you sell tarot readings online, Etsy will shut you, you must have a tangible item. Actually, there's 2 things here. You must have a tangible item, and you must have the proper disclaimer. So we'll use tarot readings as an example. Tarot readings, you have to, by law, by U.S. law. Don't forget they're a U.S. company. Whatever you do has to comply with your laws and U.S. law because Etsy, as a U.S. company, has to comply with U.S. law. You have to be aware of what the U.S. law says on these things because it can matter. So as a Canadian, I can just put up a listing and go, I'm doing tarot readings. To comply with American law, there has to be a disclaimer that's saying these readings are for entertainment purposes only. If that's not there, and Etsy spots that, they will shut you down and they will not tell you why. Because at the end of the day, it's on you to know. They will tell you what the rule is. It's on you to understand the details of what that means. Just simply because the minute Etsy takes, this is something else. Let me just segue for a second. The minute a company takes it upon themselves to educate you fully and thoroughly on what everything means and how it means it, they take on the responsibility for what happens if that goes wrong. They will not go to court with you, for you, or because of you. So they will not take on any action that could miseducate you and cause you to do things that can get them in trouble. Because if they take on that role as if they take on the mentor role of making sure you understand every single freaking detail of every single thing, then if something goes wrong with it, they can be held responsible. Ugh, my 30 minutes hit. Oh my God, I'm not even okay. Some of these aren't bad. Some of these are pretty quick. Okay, so again, you have to have a tangible item. So using tarot as an example, you cannot just go, I'm going to do a Zoom tarot reading. That's fine, but if you do not provide them with a tangible item, then you cannot be on Etsy. So what you have to provide them with is either a copy of the recording that you can put up on YouTube and send a private link, a written synopsis that you mail to them. There has to be something that they have tangibly gotten. Tangible goods are digital downloads, digital something, right? There has to be something that they can keep. Okay, a Zoom meeting, once it's a one and done thing that they can never refer to again, is not a tangible good. So you can't do it. That's why you don't see like on I can't think of a lot of other examples. Like you can offer online tutoring through Etsy. You can offer online tutoring through Etsy through a Zoom meeting. Just make sure you have worksheets or something that you send to them as part of it, so that there is a tangible good associated with what you're doing. But if there is no tangible good, and again, the disclaimers is a second side point. If you are in a category that requires disclaimers and you fail to provide them, then you can lose your business over it. And it's on you as the person providing those services to know better, to know what you need to do and don't do to be compliant. Okay. So tangible goods, like I said, a tarot reading or a consultation of any kind via Zoom without any option to say. I wrote this down. Let me just read you exactly what I wrote. I.e., for example, you sell tarot readings or other consultations via Zoom without any option to save a copy of the video for themselves, or any written copy or worksheet or whatnot that goes with it. So you must provide a copy of the video or a written review, outlook, or whatever, and you're fine, but there must be something tangible that they can keep. And by the way, a tip jar is not allowed. There is no tangible exchange. If you have a tip jar and you promise to send them a thank you note and a sticker, that's allowed. There's a tangible good. Oh, if you like what I do and want to tip me, just put money in my tip jar. It's not allowed. It's a violation of Etsy's TOS, Terms of Service. There must be a tangible good. If you have a tip jar and you are not providing the customer with something in return, you will eventually lose your shop for it, and you can lose it on the first offense. Depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Often, this also depends on what kind of complaints are going. Okay, so selling goods, next. Selling goods that come from a sanctioned country. As a U.S. company, federal law prohibits American companies from doing business of any kind with countries, but directly or by proxy. We're the proxy, right? With any country that's been sanctioned. This is why, okay, you can't sell cigars or I'm not sure, you might actually be able to sell cigars. I have to look that one up. Okay, you cannot sell Cuban cigars on Etsy. Let's assume that you can sell cigars. I'm not 100%. You cannot sell Cuban cigars on Etsy. Cuba is a sanctioned country. You cannot sell a cigar case that comes with bonus Cuban cigars. You can't do it. If the country is a U.S. sanctioned country, you cannot sell goods or services to or from that country. You cannot sell goods or services that originate from that country. So a lot of people, and this is a big mistake that people make, they're like, I found this really cool product that nobody's selling. I'm going to start selling it on Etsy. It's like, is it from a sanctioned country? Right? That is something to be aware of. It's just not done. Something else that you cannot sell are seeds. Technically, you're not supposed to sell seeds across international borders. Like if you're selling seeds, don't try to sell them to New Zealand, because the minute you're selling seeds to New Zealand, you're losing your business. The minute Etsy, I don't know how rigid they are about vetting where the country comes from. Anyway, you can't sell seeds online either. Through Etsy. House rules. You can sell seeds online, but there's all kinds of shit that's required to do it legally. And if you're selling seeds or live plants online through Etsy and get caught, you're losing your business. They don't like it. You can, okay, sorry. Okay, let's back up. I, as a Canadian seller, can sell seeds all over Canada. I cannot sell them, I cannot ship through international borders. And I don't know how the rules are on that, so that's fine. Okay, so selling goods that come from a sanctioned country, selling seeds or plants, anything that's alive. Anything that can be alive. You can't sell puppies either. That's pretty obvious, right? Okay, late shipping. Okay, this requires a bit of an explanation. When you're setting up your Etsy account, you're going to set up, if you buy my product, you're going to have a ships by deadline. My ships by deadline, I think, is 10 business days. So if you order something from me, I have 10 business days. Monday to Friday are the business days. In the States, the post office runs on Saturdays, but that does not count as a business day. Or it may on Etsy. Okay, when you get your order in, it will tell you when it has to be shipped by, based on the ships by date that you have entered when you set up your account. Okay, you can change it at any time, by the way. So if I say, if my date says that I need to ship this, if my listing says that it's going to ship by tomorrow and it doesn't go in the mail by tomorrow, now shit happens. Etsy's not completely like stupid. It's like, oh, okay, it was supposed to ship by tomorrow. Oh, it got out the day after. You're fine. But if everything is shipping like that, if you are consistently late in shipping your products, you have a problem. Because Etsy's guidelines, there is a law. There are laws about shipping. Like I said, the online police are not going to come to the door and arrest you, but Etsy's not going to screw around with that. So their house rules are, if you are not in compliant with the law, we're not keeping your shop online. So if you are consistently late getting your stuff out the door, they will eventually shut you down. You can be 1 day late once in a while. I have a 10-day shipping window. If I'm 1 day late, they're not going to care because most of the time I'm shipping early. But if you are, people compete. If I don't have my stuff out in 24 hours, I'm going to lose business because I have to compete with everybody. Okay. Yeah, so I just put it on my listings that I ship in 1 day, but I actually ship in 3 and it's okay. It's like you're constantly showing up 2 days late on a one. You understand that you have you're taking 3 times longer than you're supposed to get stuff shipped out the door. You will eventually be shut down for that. What are the parameters? I don't know. Does it take a day to catch you? Does it take a week, a month, a year? I don't know how long it takes for Etsy to figure out that that's what you're doing, but if that's what you're doing, you will lose your shop over it the minute they figure out that's what you're doing. Now, again, things can be late. You're fine. I always call it the purge because this happens every fucking Christmas. Every Christmas, somebody puts down 1 to 2 days shipping time because they're trying to compete. Oh, it's Christmas. Because you can make a lot of money over Christmas if you sell stuff that is giftable. Giftable, is that a thing? If you sell, there's certain products that sell very, very, very well around Christmas time. And if you're selling those kind of products, you can make 90% of your money in a month. Nope, no problems there. No problems there. Yeah, so I'm going to take, and I've seen it. I've got 500 orders. But I have a 2-day shipping time. And I'm already 2 weeks behind. Because I just can't make my stuff fast enough to stay caught up. Say goodbye to your shop. You'll be gone by New Year's. It might take Etsy. And again, they're doing this, they have their own behind the scenes thing. So it may take them months to catch up to the backlog of all of these accounts that have fallen behind. I don't know what their behind the scene process is. And I've been saying this over and over again. I know they do it. I know exactly that they do it. I've been doing this long enough. I've been on the social media long enough. I know that they do it. If you cannot ship on time, then you cannot have a business on Etsy. It's that simple. So, yeah, Christmas is the best time to lose your shop. It is the best time, even if it takes Etsy a month or so to catch up with you. And again, you're going to be in the forums going, I don't know why I lost my shop. I did great at Christmas. I made so much money, and they didn't get rid of me then. It's like it took them a month. It took them a month to get through the backlog and get to you. That's why you made great money this Christmas, and people do it. It's like, oh, I know I'm going to lose my shop, but I'm making great money this Christmas. I was like, yeah, what the fuck you doing next Christmas? Good luck with that. So anyway, that's a whole separate thing. I get a little pissy about that sort of thing because people just think that they think that they can get away with that. It's not my fault. It's like you can put your shop on vacation mode until you catch up. Etsy now has, this got so bad in 2019, 2020. It got so bad that Etsy now has a bot that will shut your shop down for you and say, "Oh, gee, it looks like you're falling behind on your shipping. We've put your shop into vacation mode until you get caught up." And they will not reopen your shop until everything's been marked as shipped. And do not think you're fixing something by marking everything as shipped. Oh, I'm just going to mark it all as shipped and get it out of the mail later. That's an even faster way to lose your shop, because if you are marking your stuff as shipped, so shipping is a huge thing, okay? And I'm probably going to do a second video just talking about this. I'll try to keep this one quick. If you're marking all of your stuff as shipped, but then not getting it out of the door on time anyway, because you can mark your stuff as shipped even though it's not out the door. The very first time you get a customer complaint, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and my seller has just told me that they haven't even mailed my item yet, but it was marked as shipped 3 weeks ago. Take it out of your shop on the first offense. First offense. So you're doing this. You've got 500 somethings in the mail. You've got 500 somethings to do. You've marked all 500 of them shipped to avoid losing your shop for being late, knowing that you're going to be late. You think not one of those 500 people is going to contact Etsy and go, "Yeah, my shit is late and they haven't even put it in the mail yet, even though it's already marked as shipped." Etsy's going to go, "Oh, excuse me." And they're going to go look and they're going to say, "Oh, look at all these messages back and forth with people going, 'Why haven't I got my stuff yet? Oh, I haven't shipped it. Oh, I haven't,'" because people start complaining, right? "Oh, it's 3-day shipping. It's been a week and a half. Why haven't I got my product? Oh, I'm sorry, I've been running late. It's not in the mail yet." Well, your thing says it's been shipped. What the fuck's going on? One person makes an abuse claim because there's abuse at Etsy.com, and if a customer uses that, hey, this happened. So thinking that the message system is the only way that customers are going to contact Etsy or whatever, I don't know, but anyway. I need to do a separate video just on shipping alone, because the mistakes that people make when it comes to shipping are pointless, they're avoidable, and it puts your shop at risk. So anyway, your shop does have vacation mode. If you are overwhelmed with orders and need to catch up, use vacation mode. Because I'll tell you right now, losing a couple of $1,000s in sales this year because you got so fucking much business that you need to stop and catch up is better than losing how many thousands of dollars year over year of lost business because Etsy shut you down. It's that simple. Okay, so anyway, if you're not shipping on time, then you have a problem. Now, something else that happens, let's stay on shipping for just a second, because I didn't write this down and I should have. If you are shipping something late, then your policies, you as an Etsy seller, you're allowed to set your own policies. But your policies must comply with Etsy's policies. That doesn't mean you can have, no returns or exchanges. That's fine. That's legal. You can do that. That complies with Etsy's policies. But if you say that you ship in 2 days and it's a week later and you still haven't shipped yet, that violates Etsy's policies. If you state something to be a fact, then it must be a fact. Anything that you state about your product, your delivery time, anything like that, it must be accurate and correct. If you're shipping late and your customer says, "Hey, you haven't put this in the mail yet. I'm not okay with this. I need a refund." And you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, my policies are no exchanges or refunds." Guess what? That person makes a complaint to Etsy. This person has not put my package in the mail on time. This is a problem. It's no longer working for me. I want my money back. They've said, "No, you can lose your shop over it." Because your promises, you did not keep your promise, and now you're trying to hold your customer to your policies, even though your policies include your promise. I said that badly. I'm in lecture. I am literally in lecture mode. I am in lecture mode because I see so many freaking people doing this. Your policies must comply. You are allowed to set your own policies. Your policies must comply with state, local, federal laws. It must comply with Etsy's overall policies, which are, like I said, when it comes to shipping, if you say that you're going to have a product in the mail in 2 days and it's not in the mail by the deadline, your policies no longer apply and you default back to Etsy's policies, which are basically give the guy a refund, no questions asked. It's like, "Oh, but I already put it in the mail." It's like, that's just too damn bad. They want a refund and you fucked up because and this actually should be one that I address. If your policies clearly state certain things, Etsy will stand by you. It must be in your policies. If you do not have policies stated for your shop, then you cannot later go, "Oh, I don't do refunds." It's like, well, it's not in your policies, so you do refunds. Because Etsy's house rules are, if you have no policies stated that you are agreeing to use Etsy's policies, which are customers can get a refund within the first, I think it's 30 days. Okay, that's a thing. Well, I'm not giving you a refund. I don't believe in it. Well, that's just too damn bad. Okay. Now I'm just being a dick to those people that do. I get really pissy because so many people do this on purpose and think they can get away with it. The unfortunate problem is that as soon as there is a customer complaint over it, you could lose your shop over it, especially if this is something you're doing consistently, because Etsy has access to your messages. They have access to everything. They have access. You delete a message? You've archived it. You can't delete messages. Every single message that you've ever sent to every single customer stays in their back end forever. You can't, oh, look at my messages. I don't have any messages that talk about that. It's like, oh, well, your archived messages do. You can't play that. Okay. I'm trying to be positive and reassuring. I'm trying to be positive and reassuring to people that are just starting out. This is not a problem. This is not a problem. Why is this not a problem? Because if you're aware of this and you know what the rules are and you follow them, you have protection. If you are aware, whether or not, being aware of the rules is your job. That is your responsibility. It doesn't seem to be a difficult rule. If you state in writing that you will have a person's product in the mail within 24 hours of them ordering it, and you do not keep that promise, this is going to be a problem for Etsy to deal with. Now, some of these issues don't become a problem unless the customer complains. If the customer doesn't complain, Etsy's not going to find out. That's fine. Shit happens, and a gracious customer can save your ass. But an unhappy customer that decides to make the complaint could trigger an account review where a person goes into your account from the back end and goes, oh, fuck, they've been doing this for a long time. You can lose your account, and you won't know why. I've been doing it like this for the last 5 years. It's like, well, somebody finally complained. Somebody finally complained. Somebody, plural, finally complained. Something happened. An account review was triggered. They realized what you've been doing, and they got rid of you because you're not supposed to be doing it. So be aware of the rules before you start. That is the number one advice. I probably should have ended every single one of these points with that. If you're still watching by now, because I'm like almost an hour in already. If you're still watching this, this is not a problem. These are just simply facts to be aware of. This is the exact same thing. If you go to school, okay, remember back when you were in school? How many rules were there actually? Dozens. Be nice to the other kids. Don't do this to the teacher. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Don't smoke in the bathrooms. Like, come on. So many of the rules in school were so freaking obvious that we didn't even give it a second thought. I don't give Etsy rules a second thought. I run into them all the time on the social forums because people are bitching about this stuff all the time, which is why I get a little bitchy in return. It's like, I'm not going, you're a fucked up seller. Yeah, find out what you can and can't do as a seller. You can make a promise that you're going to ship within 24 hours. You can't go back on that promise. If you go back on that promise and a seller, if you're late shipping and somebody says, hey, this is late, I really need a refund. I needed this by yesterday and it's still not in the mail yet. I really would like a refund. You have to do it. You have to give them the refund. You say no, you're opening a can of worms for yourself. That's that. That is that. So, shipping is everybody's pet peeve, but one thing that happens, the reason why this blows up all the freaking time, all over social media, is because people think that if they're not promising to put their package in the mail within the first 24 hours of the order, that they are not competing with everybody else. Don't fucking compete. Just do not compete. If it's not working for you, then just don't do it, and focus on attracting to yourself a customer base that understands that and is okay with that. Like, I ship every Monday. Every Monday I go to the post office. If I'm really busy, I'll ship another day. But if I'm at the post office every day, I'm not home making stuff for the next guy. And I'm pretty sure most of my buyers understand that. So it's not an issue. If something's going to be late, if something's going on and something's going to be significantly late, I will let this came up. Is it okay if I put this in the mail a couple days late? The communication is there. They're not going to complain. And if they say, it's not really okay, I do need a refund, it's like, here you go. Here's your refund. I fucked up. I know the rules. I know the rules. I don't get to screw around with the rules and then decide that Etsy owes me fucking anything because I chose to play around and got caught. Okay. Let's get off the pet peeve because I don't know. Think of anywhere that you've ever worked. Go look at your fucking employee handbook right now. If you have a day job that has an employee handbook, go look at it. The number of rules that you'll find in these documents is insane because they want it all in writing to cover their asses. But most of the rules, the vast majority of what I'm saying right now, almost everything I've gone through is reasonable. Don't try to sell guns on Etsy. That's stupid, right? People still try. Don't make it your business to send all the business away from Etsy and then go, why are we providing you with space? Bandwidth isn't cheap. Why are we providing you with a shop and a this and a that? Attracting a new customer isn't cheap. Why are we spending millions and millions of dollars a year attracting new customers onto Etsy as customers to buy from all of our sellers when the first thing that you're going to do is tell them to go somewhere else? It's common sense. There's a lot of common sense in here. If I don't like the fees and I'm trying to save a little bit of money on fees, then of course I disagree with that. You can disagree with it. You don't have to be an Etsy fangirl and go, I don't know, well, blood-sucking corporation. Yeah, that's fine, but you chose to play on their sandbox. You do have to play by their rules. Okay, and it's not that hard. Like I said, go look at your employee handbook. Go look at your employee handbook. Go look at the workers' compensation guidelines for your community, because there are certain rules that apply. If you hurt yourself in the job and it's your boss's fault, there's a shit ton of rules that suddenly come into place. We all know about them, right? We have so many rules on just basic functioning in society that we don't even give it a second thought. Once you get comfortable with Etsy and get used to it, you will realize that almost all of these rules are not rules that you need to give a second thought to. I am aware that I need to make sure my stuff is in the mail on time. I'm not violating a copyright. My account's not in arrears. My items are handmade. They're not prohibited. I don't redirect buyers to other platforms unless they are specifically asking about products that I cannot handle in any other way than by taking it private, because I don't offer those products on Etsy to begin with, and you're allowed to do that. I'm aware that Etsy would ban me at the IP if there's a problem, so I make sure that my second shop, I have a second shop that I sometimes use for other stuff, very rarely. I make sure that does not have automatic stuff. I don't have a premium account on that shop. I think my premium account goes for both shops. I don't have ads on that shop, right? I make sure that no billing is going to happen, and I get automatic messages so that if anything does happen, I can go to that shop right away and take a look. Problem, I've got that shop locked down. I do have a tangible item. So what do we got? So all this doom and gloom, I don't have to worry yet. I don't have to worry about it. My bills are paid. I buy my fabric locally, so sanctioned country, not an issue. I have a generous shipping window for myself so that I very rarely have to be concerned. So that's not a problem. Too many low reviews. Okay, this is a thing. Okay, if the general public, if you are generally getting really bad reviews all the time, then Etsy is just not going to keep you. They do want a quality. They do expect a certain quality standard from their products. It's shitty, but that's just the nature of the beast. The last thing you want to do is have to wade through a million one-star shops that are selling garbage. Because I'll tell you right now, if they let anybody stay on Etsy, regardless of the number of low reviews that they've gotten, we would have like easily 15 to 20 million shops. Because people would just rush in. I'm not saying that half the shops that open are garbage. I'm saying that if it was that easy, what's stopping you from going to the local dollar store, buying up a bunch of stuff and opening an Etsy shop and just reselling it as a supply or whatever? And now don't get me wrong, some people actually do that, which is why you should always read the descriptions, by the way. But anyway, too many low reviews. They do expect a certain standard of both service and quality, and that is to be expected. If anybody expects, two stars is fine, I'm okay with that, it's like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It doesn't have to be 5 stars. It can be 4.5. I think it has to be 4 and up consistently. Buyers are generous. 5-star ratings are easy to come by. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about your ratings. And if you are worried about your ratings, then maybe open your shop and quietly promote your stuff to friends, family, relatives, your local communities. Get started that way. Get started that way. That's always scary. Your first few reviews are scary. They were scary to me. They were scary for me. The first few reviews are scary until you go, oh, I hope they like it. I hope they like it. Oh, God, they do like it. This is awesome. Or, oh, they didn't like it. I better get back there. Better get back and redo it. The biggest problem comes if you get low reviews and leave your shop open and don't fix your problem and keep trying to force the same thing to work, Etsy's not going to keep you. Okay, too many returns and refunds. Obviously, there's a problem. There's a problem with your shop. There's a problem with your product. There's a problem. And if there's too many returns and refunds, then obviously, according to Etsy, you're not solving your problem. So you shouldn't really be on the platform. Again, if there's a problem, put your shop on vacation mode, take the time, fix it, and then come back. It's not hard to deal with, but be aware. And this is where you need to put your ego. This is where you need to park your ego at the door. Because there's people that have really crappy products, and they come in, well, this is fine. People should understand that handmade is not perfect, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I'm sorry, but it's not perfect to the point where you're getting... Usually Etsy will shut down a shop if it's a combination of low reviews and too many refunds. They don't usually just do it for one or the other, unless it's like really bad. Okay. Here's a big one. Okay. Hostile interactions with customers. Now, Etsy's not going to discuss this with you. They're not going to give you a guideline of you can say this, but you can't say that. You can say this, but you can't say that. Story time. Here's my story time. Here's my story. I'm going to tell it. I'm going to start over because I'm going to restart because it's about to shut off at me anyway. Okay, I'm back. Story time. There was a woman who was having a bad day with a customer. Oh, my customer is so horrible. And you see this all the time. I don't know why they do it. People have a negative interaction with their customer and they immediately hit the social medias. We're gonna be hitting, oh, I gotta do this. Let me just bring my, yeah, this is a big list. I gotta go down a little bit farther. Okay. Okay. This lady was having a bad day with a customer. No problem. And things weren't going well. No problem. Sometimes you do get those customers that are just going to be rage monsters at you, and there's nothing you can really... Okay, not there's nothing you can really do about it, but what you can do about it is limited. Limited. Okay? This person's like, oh, I don't like your product. I want a refund. I want this. I want that. Blah, blah, blah. Ladies come in. I'm not giving you a refund. So basically, they are like catcalling each other through Etsy messages, just going right to town. This lady comes in. I don't know what to do. I've told this woman everything. I've explained this, and I've told her that. And she's posting screenshots, and I'm like, oh, my God, this is like, you're angry, and you're not hiding it, and you're just all over this poor woman. This woman is angry in return. Okay, maybe not poor woman. Maybe this is somebody who deserved a little bit of anger. But what's happening is this person is like, I think you're a scammer. I think you're just trying to get my money back. I think you're just doing, and she's like, she's making accusations against her customer. Her customer's like, I don't care what you think. I want my money back. Your product is garbage. This is what's going on. Yada, yada, yada. They're just fucking going to war on each other in Etsy messages where if there's a reason to look. Okay. Fine. So she's like asking for advice. And of course, all the some people take support as no matter what horrible, nasty thing I need to do, I need 500 people to tell me I'm right. And everybody, this turned into this weird thing where this was a very, very large group full of very, very toxic people. And unfortunately, social media is full of it. I was in the group just sometimes for the popcorn because mostly because whenever something new was coming down through Etsy, that's usually the first place you're going to hear about it because you just go and you go, oh, they're doing this now. Okay. Changes and updates. Okay. So anyway, these two women are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, me and a bunch of other people are like, you can't talk to your customers that way. If Etsy catches wind of this, you could be in big trouble. Of course, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm an Etsy seller. I'm in business. I can say whatever I want to my customers. They're freaking the fuck out, okay? Everybody else is supporting this. This is where you really have to be. This is really where you really have to be aware of where your advice is coming from. This is your business. You can do it any way you want. If you had a retail store and she was coming into your retail store acting like this, you'd kick her the fuck out. And that's exactly blah blah blah. She eventually went back, told this woman, "You're a scammer. You're this. You're that." She just listed it all. You're a piece of shit. You're garbage. Fuck off. She put it in writing. Alrighty then. This woman I'm going to send an email to abuse@etsy.com. And of course, Etsy has grown exponentially. So sometimes you communicate with Etsy over something and it could take them weeks to get back to you. I'm like, you're going to lose your shop over this. Sure enough, this woman is back like 3-4 weeks later. Etsy closed me down and I don't know why. So do you think it has something to do with the fact that you told a customer to fuck off a few weeks ago and you put it in writing where Etsy staff could see it if she actually made a complaint against you? Oh, well, she made a complaint against me and she opened a case and I had to give her money back, so she got what she wanted. It's like, yeah, but Etsy found out that you're a rage monster too. Etsy found out that you have no problem going off on your customers. If you worked at McDonald's, if you go to McDonald's and you see somebody all over the staff, you're going to see that. What does the staff member do? They call a manager, they walk away, they get the fuck out of there, because if they give it back, they can lose their jobs. They should give it back. But anyway, I digress. This woman came back a few weeks later after having lost her shop and could not, for the life, I have no idea why I lost my shop. I didn't lose my shop for that. It's like, yes, you did. You cannot. I've got this. So generally this is hostile interactions. If you are hostile, this needs its own video. It really does. If you are hostile to a customer, telling them off, talking down to them, being rude to them, Etsy's never going to know. It's all in the messages. It's whatever. Etsy's not going to find out. But then what's going to happen is you're going to come across somebody who does make a complaint and say, this is what this person said to me. They're going to send forward a couple of screenshots, and Etsy's going to sit up, take notice, and go check your messages and check your archives. Because like I said, it doesn't matter. No matter how many messages you delete, you can archive it. You can archive a message, but Etsy can still see it. There's no way for you to actually delete a message. And they're going to go, oh my God, and they're going to get rid of you. Customer Service 101 is so vitally important that I will be doing multiple videos talking about ways to interact with your customer that will cover your ass while not letting yourself get beat down or triggered or whatever by rude customers. Okay, so communicating with your customers is vital. And there are avenues. If a customer is being abusive towards you, there are ways for you to report that person. If you are being abusive towards a customer, there are ways for that customer to report you. So what ends up happening is, I'm just going to leave hostile interactions as a single thing. What did I write down? Did I write down anything that matters? I wrote down a few notes. Okay, so insulting and demeaning customers in your reviews is also a hostile interaction. Customer says, I really didn't like this product. I don't think it was the right size. And you come back and go, that's because you know, and I've seen reviews that do this, because don't forget, on social media, people come back and they're fucking proud of themselves for doing this shit. Oh, I put that woman in her place. I'm in another video, it said that somebody had recently said, I can't wait for that person to make a review so they were unhappy with the communication from a customer. So I can't wait for them to leave a review so I can humiliate them. And they do it. Okay, and I'll tell you right now, these are small shops that aren't going anywhere. But if a customer leaves a negative review and you choose to respond to it, be very, very, very aware of the fact that if you are insulting or demeaning in your response to a customer review, and that person, because then that person can go back and say, I'm really insulted and upset that this happened. Etsy can come back and Etsy can make the determination that they're going to terminate your shop for it. So this is a really hard one, because if I make a complaint to Etsy about something, I think I've already said it. If I send a message to Etsy about something, they're really busy. They've almost tripled in size in like 2 or 3 years ever since the global thing happened. So it can be, it can take a while to get back. So by the time a complaint gets to Etsy and they have the time to go look into it, it can be a few weeks. It can even be a couple of months, depending on what else they've got going on. Like right now at Christmas time, they're not looking at customer complaints. Or rather, they're only dealing with certain types of complaints, certain types of issues. They're not looking at other stuff. If somebody is super fucking up on being super late on shipping and is going to lose their shop over it, that might not happen until they've caught up with that, because they've got to redirect their attention, just like anything else. Like, I mean, if you're super busy cooking for the family, maybe you'll forget to vacuum your floor, kind of like that, right? Anyway, being hostile with your customers in a way, doing and say, everything you do and say in an Etsy message is forever, period. So that can come back and it can bite you in the ass if you are giving in to your urge to vent your frustrations. And I get it. It's something, like, I mean, I swear all the time. Like, I swear like a sailor when, you know, I'm not going to talk to a customer like that. Somebody sends me a message and I'm not going to, like, somebody sends me a message to go, hey, Peggy, there's a huge problem with this thing. Like, I mean, I just don't like it. I'm not going to go, what the fuck is wrong with you? I might be thinking it. Now, let's just be honest about honesty. I might be going, what the fuck's wrong? I can't think of anything I did wrong with that order. I don't fucking get it. I'm not going to write that to the customer. I'm going to go, hey, I'm just checking in. What seems to be the issue? I don't, you know, what seems to be the issue? And they're going to go, well, I got this and there was a hole in the bag. I'm going to go, oh my God, okay. Like, I might go, I had one customer the one time, she got an item and it did have a hole in it. I said, oh, what happened? And she sent me a photo, and from the photo, it looks like that maybe when she was opening the package, she accidentally nicked the bag with her scissors. I'm not going to go to war over that. I'm like, okay. I said, you know, it's like, I can't prove it. And she was nice about it. She wasn't mean. I'm not going to come back and go, well, it looks like you're clumsy with your fucking scissors. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm not going to pull that crap. I'm not putting it in writing. And I just said, oh, okay, well, I have no idea how that could have happened. So here, let me send you a new bag. And I just sent the new bag. I mean, I also knew the person otherwise. There was a whole lot of factors that it was like, oh, I can afford to be really super nice here. And I'm not going to waste my freaking time going, oh, I think she might have been a little clumsy. I'm certainly not going to lose my time. I'm not going to wreck my day by getting all miserable about it. Anyway. Kind of got on a tangent town here. Let's see if I can get back on track. So, being hostile towards your sellers, be engaging negatively with your sellers, and that can be, if you have an ongoing pattern of telling your customers off, doing things that are stupid, not stupid. I don't know what to call it, but it's like, obviously you do not put in writing "fuck off" to a customer where Etsy can see it, and then be surprised that you eventually lose your shop. And especially if you're already talking like that to other customers, being hostile, you want a refund, that means you're scamming me. It's like, that's a great way to lose your shop, by the way. If you automatically assume, if you don't take responsibility, you do not have to take the blame for every mistake, but you need to take responsibility for mistakes. Like I said, like, if I put something in the mail and it goes missing, I'm not taking the blame for that. But I will be part of the solution for that, right? It's like, okay, well, it's not your fault, it's not my fault. Let's see what we can do to work together. I'm not going to flip out. But some people just like to treat customer service people, and that's who you are. When you are dealing with an Etsy buyer online, you are a customer service person at that point for that interaction. And we all know people that like to treat customer service people like garbage. How you respond to that can make or break whether or not you get to keep your shop. Because for good or for bad, these people are how we get paid. Not these people. Etsy will eventually get rid of customers like that. Customers get banned all the time. Etsy suspended my buying privileges and I don't know why is also a thing. But we don't hear. There's 98 million people buying on Etsy. We don't hear from them the same way. They don't have the same forums and the same stuff. And if Etsy bans you from selling, you're usually so embarrassed from buying, you're not going to tell anybody. We don't hear about those people. They get taken all the time. If you have a customer that is treating you like absolute garbage and they are swearing at you, being demeaning, being this, being that, report them. Take the time. Continue talking to them like a professional, but report them. This person's being very abusive and threatening, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and send a screenshot. Let them know. Eventually, that person will lose their account. The main reason why these abusive people, the main reason why abusive customers don't lose their accounts is because sellers don't want to rock the boat, so they won't report them. So they get away with it for years before they get finally called out. Anyway, that's a segue. Hopefully I'll be able to address that in other videos later as well. Anyway, regardless of how the customer is treating you, you don't get to treat them the same way back. It's just not professional. It's just not okay. And if there are complaints about it, if Etsy ever has a reason to see your account and to see that kind of activity happening on your account, you will lose your account. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent right now. So customer A has called in and said, my stuff is late and they don't want to give me a refund. And I'm not really very happy about that. And Etsy goes, well, okay. Oh, it looks like this has happened a couple times before. Let's do a quick account review and make sure that everything's okay. Oh, that's okay on the shipping, but I'm doing an account review. Let's check their messages. You talk to your customer how? You can lose your account. You can end up getting an account review for very innocent reasons where you've really done nothing wrong, but the process says that you have to have an account review, and they don't tell you about account reviews. And somebody, for some reason, has had some staff member somewhere has had to take a look at your account for some reason, and in the process of reviewing one thing where you've done nothing wrong, they find out other things that you have done wrong. Those negative interactions can bite you in the ass a year later over something completely unrelated. You never know. And that's where that's where I don't know comes from, and that's where some of the things that you do, you can get away with until there's a reason for somebody to, until somebody makes the right kind of complaint, there's a reason to come review your account. So, and that's just keeping your own side of the street clean. I'm still babbling about this. I'm probably going to need to edit that down, or maybe I'm just going to have an ultra long video. It's already like an hour long, I think. But I think it's already going to be at least an hour by this point. We'll see. Okay. Hostile interactions. Something else is anything that the customer can take as a threat. So you've sold something to somebody locally, and they're like, man, you're bipping and whatever. And then you're like, fine, I'm going to come to your house and take it back. Say goodbye to your account if that person makes a complaint, because that's illegal. That's threatening. You cannot threaten to go to some... okay. Here's the thing. Illegal. Are the police going to come and arrest you because you threatened somebody? No. No, they don't. It's like, okay, the fact that somebody's mouthing off is not enough of a law-breaking activity for police involvement. On Etsy's side of things, it's like, well, the fact that you've made a threat is technically illegal. It is illegal. And we don't have to wait for court to get rid of you, so you're just gone. It's like, so be careful how you communicate with your buyers. I am going to be addressing customer service 101, how to talk to your buyers, how not to talk to your buyers. I'm going to be doing that as its own, not as its own thing, but I definitely am going to be doing several videos on that, because I've been doing customer service of some flavor or another. I might even address it as a live. I've been wanting to do a live stream for a while. I might go live with that. Comment below and let me know. If you are still with me after all this and all this babbling, comment and let me know if you would like a live stream going over customer service do's and don'ts, because that'll give me a chance. Well, if I say this, how would I say that? Because sometimes the difference between a good customer experience and a bad customer experience, especially in writing, can be the difference in one word. Changing one word in a sentence can dramatically change the customer's experience. And I've done online customer service, in-person customer. I've just done customer service. I've done customer service, so I can definitely give really good. I think this is all subjective. I think I can give really good tips and ideas on how to communicate with your customers and not get yourself trapped. And again, customer hostility from customers, blah 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 blah, is difficult to navigate, and it's really easy to get yourself in trouble. So it is. But it's like again, going to school, going to a job. You know, you can't talk to your coworkers that way. These are not earth-shattering revelations. If you start talking to your coworkers that way, your boss is going to fire you. If you start talking to your Etsy customers that way, Etsy, who is your boss on the platform, will fire you, and that's just what happens. So policies that violate Etsy's policy. Okay, here's one. I'll give you one example. Something's running late. Etsy allows you the opportunity. Etsy lets you push back the shipping date so that you don't get in trouble. Okay, it's like, oh damn, I said I was going to have that in the mail in 5 days. This came up. It's going to take me 5 more days. So you push back your shipping date. You're now in violation of Etsy's policies. Etsy's policies are that you must let the buyer know that you're pushing back the date and get their consent, so that if the buyer disagrees, they can ask for a refund and to cancel the order. Most customers don't. But the sellers that get themselves in trouble are so scared of losing that dollar that they take the risk, push it back anyway, hope the customer won't notice. The customer notices, makes a complaint, and you're going boop, 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 and you're out the door. Okay. So what did I write? I wrote something down. So Example, if you need to push back your shipping date, you must let your buyer know and offer them the option of a full refund. Even if you've already, oh, I've already invested in materials, so I'm only going to give you 20% back. Oh, you can't do that. If the mistake is yours, it must be a full refund, including the cost of shipping. Okay? That's something else. So that's, I think did I put that one? Yeah, if you've made the mistake and refuse to make the customer whole, so I throw in a bag that I didn't even bother sewing shut. That's my mistake. I fucked up. If I refuse to fix that, I can lose my shop. Especially now, if you're going back and forth with the customer in the course of how to fix it, that's fine. You can make an agreement with the customer. You can discuss and make an agreement and an accommodation with the customer. But the customer's going, no, this was, you screwed this up. This was your mistake. I really do just want my money back. And you say no, you are now in violation of Etsy's policies. Etsy's policies are that if the issue that you're having with your customer is due to a mistake that happened due to a mistake or a problem or breakage that happened on your end, you are responsible for it. That means full refund. You can't just go, I'm not refunding you, I only replace. That's a violation of Etsy's policies. The customer chooses. It's customer's choice. Okay, anyway. So the pushing back the shipping dates gets people in trouble because they don't realize this. They do it, they get away with it. This is because, again, certain problems that happen on Etsy aren't, okay, if you mouth off your teacher, you're not going to get, okay, if you're in school and you mouth off your teacher, you're not getting suspended or a detention unless the teacher chooses to make an issue of it, right? So it's the same thing. You're not going to get in trouble unless there are certain things on Etsy that unless the customer makes an issue of it, it doesn't come to Etsy's attention. And then they do an account review and find out that this is an ongoing problem with you. And now, okay, we can't let that keep going. You got to go, because they don't give second chances when it comes to things that they don't monitor. It's like, yeah, this is a huge problem and you can't do this. And since we don't monitor, they can't monitor how you're communicating with the customer. They can't monitor that unless there's a reason to go in and look at your account. Anyway. So if something goes wrong and it's your fault, you must offer a full refund as one of your options. You must. Because if it's your fault, then your policies no longer apply. And you must default to whatever Etsy has determined is their base policies, their generic policies. Be aware of what Etsy's base policies is. It's that simple. And it's not as daunting as I'm making it. The reason why this is taking forever is because I'm explaining each and every one. Okay? It's just, but we get sellers all the time. Like, this is just common sense. This is all common sense. Take the time to think about it and say, okay, well, I don't like it. I would like to know that if I screw something up, that I can just replace it and I don't have to give the money back. I would love that too. Everybody would love that. Is it fair to the customer? Well, maybe not. As a customer, I don't think I would feel that was fair if that was done to me. So I don't like it because it could cost me money, but okay, it's common sense that if this is what Etsy goes by, that I have to accommodate that. It's their sandbox. If I don't like it, I can close up my shop and go sell my stuff somewhere else. People want to be on Etsy because they have 94 to 96 million sellers, but they don't want to follow Etsy's rules. If you go to a job, a school, a social club, my God, a strata, HOA. If you're going to move into a neighborhood with an HOA, know the rules, right? Everywhere you go in life, there's rules. It's not a matter of whether or not you agree with them. What rules do you have to follow? What rules don't you have to follow? There's tons of rules that you don't have to follow. There's tons of rules on Etsy that you don't have to follow. There's tons of things that people think are rules that are not rules at all. Etsy is very supportive. Etsy pushes track your packages as a thing. And people freak the fuck out. Oh, I have to go do UPS and I have to do this and I have to do that, or Etsy's going to terminate my account. They're not going to terminate your account. They don't fucking care if you track or not. They're telling you that it's something that buyers really appreciate. If it's not working for you, if it's not going to work for you, then it's not going to work. You don't have to follow that. It's not a rule. And I don't know if I'm going to do it. Shipping is where everybody loses their crap where shipping is concerned, because shipping is the one thing that it's expensive and we have the least control over it. I have to make sure my package gets to your house, right? I can't just go, okay, send a courier to pick that up. You're paying for that. Actually, I can. Etsy lets you do that. You could say, okay, well, here's my address. Make sure you have the courier come by before this time. It's like, okay, you can do that. You're not going to make any sales, but you can do it, right? Okay. We're getting to the end. Okay. Pricing or shipping bait and switch schemes. Now, this is where I go on to Etsy and I buy something. I buy an item for $10. And then the seller contacts me and says, oops, that was the wrong price. It's actually 20. I'll make a separate listing for you to pay the difference. And I say, no, I'm not paying 20 for that. I'd like my money back. And they say, no, I have a no refund policy. I'm immediately, because I know how Etsy works, I'm immediately going to contact legal at Etsy.com and report this person for pricing bait and switch. It's an anti-competition laws make it illegal to draw in a customer with false promises and then demand more money. Now this doesn't happen very often, it's very rare, but on the times that it's happened and people have been dumb enough to go into social media about it, it's like, well, this is the only way I can compete. It's like, you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, I don't see anybody who's watching this video, I'm hopefully thinking that they're not going to do that sort of shit. If you attracted a buyer's attention, hit them with an upcharge, refuse to give them a refund of the original item. Now, you can have a fuck up. You can go, oh my God, I totally screwed that up and I am very sorry. This product is priced improperly. I'm going to definitely, obviously, if you want a refund, I'll happy to give you your refund right this minute. No hard feelings, I understand. I have updated the price so that you can order it properly. And then you can discuss and go from there. Don't do it as a false sympathy gambit to get people to agree to an upcharge, because if and when you get caught, you lose your account. Don't forget, these account they're permanent. You don't get your account back. You've already had to prove your identity with Etsy to get the account in the first place. You're not getting your account back. And don't think that you can come in under your spouses or your best friends. The minute they realize it's you, you're gone. No questions asked. If I lose my account today and I convince my wife or one of my kids or somebody to reopen an account so I can keep doing business, and if Etsy catches wind or somebody rats me out, it doesn't matter how perfectly I'm running the second business, I lose the account, period. So anyway, that's a whole segue. So I hope that by this point you're sitting here and you've been nodding along for the last hour or so going, yeah, I wouldn't do any of this stuff. 90% of this stuff most people wouldn't do anyway. Shipping bait and switches are also a thing. You advertise something with free shipping and then come back and go, oh, well, in your area, I actually charge a shipping price. Here's a custom listing for you to pay for your shipping. Nope. Can't do it. Pricing mistakes happen. Okay, still babbling. Okay, last but not least, this one definitely falls into the, and I don't know why. I watched this play out in real time one time, and it was like, I'm just like sitting there going like, how can anybody be this stupid? Okay, exposing your seller in public. I've seen this happen not once, but twice. Basically, customer and the seller are having a problem. Seller goes into a particular social media group that is very, very large. This particular media group allows advertising. So it turns out that what she's done is, oh, blah, 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 I just made this, isn't it awesome? Oh, blah, 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 I just made this, isn't it awesome? Look at all my stuff. Oh, here's my link. People do this all the fucking time, and I'll tell you right now, don't do it. Do not advertise on rando social media. I run my own Etsy group. I don't advertise my shop on it. We'll have a separate video that talks about that. Anyway. So it turns out this person has bought from this seller that has been advertising in this particular social media group. So, whatever. So nobody knows about that part. I'm just setting you guys up for the kill here. I think you can see where this is going. If you're still with me and still listening to this, you already know where this is going. Okay. Seller comes back. I can't believe this buyer is such a bee. She did this. She said this. She did this. She's petty. She's needy. She's this. She's that. She's cheap. She demanded this. She demanded that. Starts posting screenshots. Okay. The buyer comes in, starts commenting. I'm the buyer, and the fact that you're doing this publicly is a fucking problem. They go to war publicly. The seller is arguing, well, it's a private group, so I can say whatever I want in a private group. And because this girl's like going, you need to delete these comments because the reason why I asked for a discount is because the reason why I accepted the discount was because you offered it to me. Well, you shouldn't have offered it to me. You know I'm a new business. Like, it was just fucking weird, okay? You asked for all these colors and they're more expensive to make. And it's like, then you should have told me that. We had plenty of time to discuss. I told you I was doing this. And it's like, yeah, but, and I think it was something like, okay, I'm going to make it up because I can't remember the exact details, but like, let's say it was a custom t-shirt with somebody's name on it and they'd spelt the name wrong. Okay, so not only did the seller fuck up, but they're going to fucking war over this, going, you gave me the wrong name, you did this and you did that. So the buyer is now providing their screenshots going, this is a conversation that we had. If you're going to post this, post all of it. And now that and it's just, they went to war, okay? It was crazy. And this isn't a Facebook group that's got like, I forget, it's got like, this is one of the groups that's got like 80, 90,000 people in it. At the time it had like 40, 50, right? Everybody's commenting. It's an absolute dog pile going both ways. As a buyer, you should, as a fellow seller, you should understand how hard it is to get started into business. So people are trashing this woman for daring to be upset over substandard work, misspellings, all kinds of shit. Taking the seller side, taking the buyer sides. It's like open warfare. It's like Marvel Civil War, but with Etsy, okay? It's fucking crazy. Anyway, somewhere along the line, somebody told the buyer, she can't do that. It's against Etsy policies. It's like, okay, well then here's what's going to happen. You're going to give me a refund and you're going to take down this post or I'm reporting you. I've already taken the screenshots. Of course, everybody's taking sides, and who should you believe other than strangers on the fucking internet? All the strangers on the internet that are taking this woman's sides going, what happens in a private group is private. Etsy can't do anything about it. It's like, okay, the woman sent all of her screenshots to Etsy with a complaint. Etsy shut her down. It's that simple. Do not expose your seller in public complaining about them, because if they find out and make a complaint about you, you are gone. It's a huge violation of Etsy policies to air your dirty laundry. You can talk about your problems with Etsy. You go, I fucking hate Etsy. That's fine. You can do that. Etsy doesn't care about that. They care about their seller's reputation, because if you are allowed to trash it, Etsy spends like something ridiculous, like $200 or $300 million a year trying to attract new buyers to come onto the platform and buy our shit. If they let us get away with trashing those buyers in public, that damages Etsy's reputation, because it does. It does. People already have strong anti-Etsy opinions based on some of the garbage that they've heard from disgruntled Etsy sellers that have lost their accounts legitimately, that wanted to pay their mortgage and just aren't making the money they thought they were going to make, that got, I can sell Disney because, and now I can't, and Etsy's evil. Disgruntled Etsy sellers are a thing. So disgruntled Etsy sellers humiliating, calling out, trashing a buyer in public is just not going to stand. Anyway, that's a really bad example, but I think, and if you guys aren't just laughing your asses off at that one, because I watched this one unfold. I think I'm still in the group. I don't know why I'm still in that group. Maybe I'm going to stay in that group. It's going to give me it's going to give me a video idea almost every day. Just to let's break down. Etsy is not evil. Etsy is awesome. You have responsibilities as a seller. Your responsibilities are to understand how these rules work. Now you do. It's not, they're not, like I said, I like to talk. I like to hear my own voice. I had to go get a drink because my throat's getting raw from talking too much. None of this is hard, and none of this is discriminatory against you as a seller. Etsy doesn't hate their sellers. Etsy loves us. Understand what the rules are. Understand that most of the rules are common sense and make sense. And then go from there, because almost everything on this list that I've listed is not going to cause me a problem. Is not going to cause a problem. Because the one thing, like I said, shipping on time is huge. So I don't make a 1-day promise. There, I've solved my problem. I make a 10-day promise because I can do that. So that's the list. I'm going to stop here because I could just keep going. So yeah, there's the obvious, there's the not so obvious, but the not so obvious does make sense when you really think about it. Like if you're having a bad day and get a little mouthy, it would be sad, but you can go, well, yeah, but if I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling a little mouthy, I shouldn't put that shit in writing in the first place. Don't talk to my customers when I'm feeling that way. Okay, problem solved. So anyway, there you go. That's it. I'm gonna get going. I think I've already said like, subscribe, hit the bell. I'm sure that I did that little pop-up. They're going ding, ding, ding. Leave your comments below. If something's not making sense, I'm happy to explain, give more detail. I love chatting with you guys, both here and whenever I bump into you guys on social media. So anyway, I will be around. I'm also going to go make another video, I think, while I'm doing nothing else but just hanging out today. Or I'm just going to babble today and then have to edit the crap out of this video. We'll see which one it is. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.